Alright, we've got the band back together. Let's go and explore an entirely original area. It's the beach.
I mean, it's already October. I don't think... is it really time for a beach? I feel like we missed that season.
You're not thinking with your intergalactic logistics brain. It's always beach time somewhere in the galaxy. Anyway, just to make absolutely sure you don't miss it, you get another advisory about Ascended gear here. And the Rhombus Square shop guy has just set up a little stall in which he sells the Cross gear, which is the very, actually final this time, tier of generic boring equipment. The proposition is not nothing, but when you've got an actual build going, it's still very preferable to that stuff. Players here are of course split between wanting to go and play more video game and just wanting to chill on the beach, and that's entirely understandable, frankly. Remember that we're already being hit with high areas and inaccessible chests. Just keep this screen in mind. And of course, we've got new enemies. We've got these starfish. You'll note that they come in elemental varieties. Definitely keep that one in mind. But more importantly, did I mention we have the band back together? Because I feel like that's probably the most important thing at work here.
I mean, it's true. These past few areas have been remarkably empty without having some asshole tell you about how actually this starfish is completely unrealistic.
The facts have not been fun. They've not been fun at all. But that's changing. Everything's better now. More importantly, we've got new fish. You might remember the anglers from Gaia's Garden. These are the same principle in that they tend to hang back and shoot wave stuff at you, except instead of screaming at you when you get them level 1 broken, they just float on up right into your face and breathe a big stream of fire. I cannot recommend standing in front of that when they do that. That would be not an optimal approach.
Can't imagine why that would be.
Also, unlike the anglers in Gaia's Garden, who break more or less instantly when you hit them when they're mid-screen, these guys will take several ice shots to get them fully broken. So you gotta watch that overload meter. It is a little bit annoying to find them in stage 2 and then find that you're almost broken, because regular hits will not do anything for them in that state. On the other hand, their health and defense is not that high. You can quite easily kill them by just doing damage. Especially if you can sneak up on them beforehand and end the fight with a big ice damage number spike before it even begins. That is honestly my overall recommendation for engaging with these fish.
I mean, I feel like that's the overall recommendation for pretty much everything in this game, is to just make the big number happen. You don't even need to worry about gimmicks.
It's true. Of course, you don't always have the requisite 6 skill points in the tank for that, so sometimes you do actually have to do things the hard way, but it's true. The optimal approach is almost always simply apply overwhelming power. There is a fair bit of jumping to do here, but it's not entirely as involved as you might expect. Mostly they use these little standing rocks to give you a couple of interesting little side paths. But we will see what the overall design ethos of this area is compared to other areas. And here we see demonstrated the optimal approach. Silly Emily. CrossWorld doesn't have poison. Honestly, it's kind of notable how many of what we consider the stock RPG status effects the game doesn't have. Oh. Oops. Whatever. Just go out and explore the beach. You can ignore it. We'll turn it off later.
Yeah, he'll get over it.
Either that or he'll learn to love Eurobeat. One or the other. Thanks, Tronny. I expected nothing less of you.
I was gonna say, if we're being fair, that one actually is the closest thing to a fun fact he's said in a long time.
So here on this screen, called the Isle of Legend, is this stuff. This seems notable. It's probably nothing. But yeah, just remember there's 3 things here that seem like they could fit a coin. Gotta hand it to sea urchins. Not only do they have the whole stabbing a giant needle into your foot thing, which is, pretty much, that's a pretty solid baseline for the pain, but then they went to the trouble of innovating a toxin for the sole purpose of just making the thing that already hurts a lot hurt even more. You kinda just have to hand it to them.
You know, sometimes nature just has... You just gotta go all out.
It's goals, honestly.
Dude, that's innovation, baby.
This here, being able to jump on these particular environment objects is also innovation, and I don't like it. I don't like that those things in particular are platformable, because your brain just kind of scans right past them.
You poor, sweet summer child, don't you know? If you die in the game, you die in real life.
I wouldn't want to be that guy. Here's a new kind of sandworm. I know we were all missing the sandworms. These guys are kind of interesting, actually. Like a lot of other things here lately, they've got the dual element thing going on. They also have the double stage break going on. So here's how this works. You hit them with ice stuff, and that makes them frozen. And then you hit them with fire stuff, and that makes them broken. Notionally, they are weak to both fire and ice. It's just that they have absurd damage resistance until they're broken. other than that, they fight pretty similarly to the Tims in Maroon Valley, except they start out already spewing the fire rocks, and if you leave them long enough in the ice mode, they will eventually start spewing ice rocks. At least I think that's how that works. I've never actually seen them do it very often, but we saw one explode just then, so it's clearly some kind of a thing.
Once again, Emily, the voice of the people.
I'm glad everyone's enjoying this place. But yeah, I'm not sure what the deal is with specifically the Kims doing ice attacks. They definitely can do it, because we literally just saw one. See, just there. We got one. But for the most part, they seem to stay still when they're frozen, so I don't know what's happening. It might be that if there's already one in flight when you freeze them, that it becomes ice. Maybe that's what's happening?
Ah, now here we go. This is the Tronny that we know and love. Tell me about these predatory worms that'll just drag you under the sand.
Good times. Good times. Also, there sure do seem to be a lot of raised spots here that we can't access. I'm sure we'll find a way up there eventually. All told, I don't know exactly what it is about the enemy cast in this area, but for all the weirdness of these fish, and they do have some there are some very particular reasons that I have for not liking the fish very much, but overall, the enemies here are all just, they're good and fun, and they have you switching up elements, but in a way that doesn't seem to get tiring. I don't know if there is any particular deep design work that went into this, or like if it's one of those times that they did something really clever and they did it so well that it doesn't look like they've done anything, or whether it's really just actually no, this is just a very straightforwardly good mix. But one way or another, this stuff works.
See, now Tronny's starting to talk like a game designer. He's getting dangerous now.
We're getting inspiration. I don't know if CrossCode has the capacity for enemies to split into other enemies. It was weird enough how they handled the blobs fusing together to become the one boss. It could probably be done, but I feel like it would have to be specifically added as a capability, or a very weird kind of hack for it to work.
I mean, what is this game other than just an endless series of weird hacks?
I mean, what's any game other than an endless series of weird hacks? Like, never look too closely under the hood at your favourite games unless you're willing to discover how much of everything you know and love is just an elaborate sequence of barely held together lies. It's all nonsense. Games are all nonsense.
You tell him, Emily.
Okay, we're saying things ironically now. Very good to know.
I don't know if I'm ready for this game to start textually doing things ironically. That's too many levels.
I feel like CrossCode will not acknowledge the concept of there being too many levels of irony. I've already lost count of how many we're on just with, like, the silent protagonist. Oh well. We were just talking about the blob boss earlier. Sir Lobbyist Starnicus? Whatever it was, Star something. Definitely began with Star, ended in Us. This is apparently a memorial to him, because this is where the Star creatures, which, lest we forget, he actually was underneath all that blob, come from. Which is why this is here.
So why is this here? Are we now suggesting the possibility that the starfish are actually a sapient species and they are mourning the loss of their blob leader?
I guess. That does seem to be where we're going with this. And, like, canonically, he is dead at this point, because it's Crossworld's law, he was the guardian of the one temple. I don't know how they tie that into the multiple Seekers that are canonically all running the track together, but, like, I don't know.
That's probably one of those things where, look, if you got this far, you must have already gotten past that, so we're just not gonna think too hard about it.
Anyway, turtles. These guys are pretty entertaining. They like to jump. These are basically your dragoons. They are vulnerable for a hot second right after they land from a jump. They're not that resistant to damage overall. Fire will mess them up pretty quickly, but if you can actually manage to evade the jump and land the counterattack, you can more or less instantly end them. Like, you saw how long that break meter was up for. That's how long you have to stun them. And no, it does not persist between jumps.
I guess it's a little bit odd for a turtle enemy to be to not be a particularly defensive type, but sure, whatever.
Haven't you been paying attention? We're all about breaking down stereotypes and irony. Why wouldn't the turtle be the fast, vicious one? Besides, are you 2 levels of not paying attention? It's debatable if these are even turtles at all. They might actually be tortoises, which is completely different, and would be justified being fast somehow.
Okay, Tronny.
Thanks, Triblader Corner. You guys are alright.
Imagine putting together a Triblader corner and then not standing in a triangle.
Right? I mean, technically speaking, pretty much anywhere that you put 3 Tribladers becomes a triangle just by virtue of stuff working.
No, those guys were clearly in a straight line.
But a line can be read as a triangle if you're willing to get abstract enough. Not thinking with your mathematician brain.
Because they do not get mathematical with me, young man. That was a line, not a triangle.
I mean, if you insist on rigidly adhering to 2D space, sure. But, I say again, abstraction. With abstraction, you can do anything. With abstraction, you can have a triangle with one side length 1, and another side length I, and a hypotenuse of length 0. The imaginary world is one of endless possibility.
I mean, I have an actual retort to that, but I won't go down that road because we don't need to start debating the complex plane in the middle of a CrossCode video.
I'll give you that one. You might have noticed this area is called Bird Skull Approach. Oddly, there does not appear to be a bird skull anywhere.
I'd say there aren't any birds in this area to begin with, are there?
Not to my knowledge. There is, of course, a reasonably imposing, ominous eventual destination. But it ain't a bird skull.
Ah, but see, it's a bird skull that's drawn with the land, obviously.
I could believe that, but I cannot say that I've ever checked. Somebody do the geometry on that. Anyway, the thing that I actually do not like about fish here is that, like, because of the fact that this area is essentially, well, it's an archipelago, it is literally a bunch of islands, but also functionally as a game environment. It is a lot of small spaces surrounded by what are essentially pits. And the fish are floating, and the fish are susceptible to knockback, which means that when you get them broken, most of the time what will happen is that you will wind up wanting to melee them, because most of the time your big damage attacks are melee, and you will see them just getting pushed into the ocean, beyond your reach. And even if you don't do that yourself, most of the time your party will wind up doing it. So, kinda tends to backfire a little bit. Well, you guys have fun down there, I guess. At least some of you are honest about why you're there. I don't know why they go to the bother of putting us in that little force field and pushing us back. They could have literally just raised the barrier when we walk in here. Oh well, whatever. Let's fight a shit ton of stuff. A running theme that you'll notice in this bit is me repeatedly trying to do Scarlet Rain, and usually taking a couple tries to get it right. Because I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but the input for dash arts is a tiny bit finicky. There is no reason that you can't use mismatched elemental stuff when dealing with starfish. As long as you're not using fire arts against the fire ones, it will mostly all work out. Their resistance is not that high, and your high level arts are still pretty damaging. Also, this place actually has actual walls, so you can actually go ham on these fish and it will actually work out. That said, I do keep trying to go for the Eternal Winter, and usually what happens when I do that is one of my party members will just punch them out of it. It's real annoying.
Well, I mean, we only have one party member that punches anything right now, so I feel like
Hexacars still have melee attacks.
I mean, a Hexacast using their melee attack sounds like a Hexacast who is being very bad at being a Hexacast.
I mean, we never actually hear it explicitly said that they are an entirely a ranged class. I don't know though. It's a lot of class balance stuff that has just never gone over. Also, I like that, like, this little storm just blows in a little covering of sand into this solid stone area, and yet it becomes enough for these sandworms to just dive under. That's very video game sand logic there. I don't know what to make of it.
Wait, hang on a second. There's no poison in this game. So, how the fuck does Toxic Revenant work then?
I think it's just a figure of speech. I don't know why it's called toxic. Like, it doesn't poison enemies, it doesn't cause them to repeatedly take damage, other than the fact that it physically damages them. Honestly, I have no idea why it's called Toxic Revenant, instead of, like, literally anything else. Also, enjoy me repeatedly trying to land Ether Snipe on, like, large enemies and hitting the starfish instead. I hope you're enjoying that. Well, that was fun. Let's get what we came for. Which was, what again?
We're here to get some deep lore, obviously.
So we didn't know it before, but what we're actually here for is this. We get one more SP bar extension. We now have a total of 16 bankable and 4 resting skill points. Admittedly, it's not as much of a game changer as going from 2 to 3 resting is. And like, it's not like we can bank an extra level 3 or anything. But still, that is a 33% expansion of our total. And we get an extra 3 circuit breakers, because, you know, of all the things they changed, they still didn't make circuit resets any less unreasonable. Apollo, how did you get up there?
And he calls us the cheaters.
Well, that's our next plot hook, I guess. But we're not done here just yet. For starters, there's a little bit off to the side here. This seems like it isn't anything, but if you poke around, it's something. Once again, cannot stress enough that you can jump on those. It's a bad time here if you don't realise that. But yeah, did you spot that chest? Our prize is Baby Monkey.
I see.
I'll take it. Notionally a descendant of the Son of the East. Sure, why not? What are you gonna do?
We're gonna take Gohan with us, apparently.
Now, you might recall that we haven't quite completed our tour of this area. Except now we have. This is the screen that we came to before that had the bridge the jump pad bridge that we couldn't cross. I don't know why this area is called Dover's Cliffs. It does not have any apparent relation to the English landmark of the same name. Other than, you know, being cliffs. But of course, the actual cliffs of Dover are kind of famously not really looking anything like this, so I don't know what they're going for. The point is, this is the crossover area. If you look at a map of this area, you will see that Asia Archipelago is actually pretty uncomplicated. It's really just a giant circle. You do a little circuit around it, you go the long way, you reach the end, and then you can connect the circle. The fact is that after all the different high-level design approaches that all the other areas took and how, frankly, different in feel those all were, there really just wasn't anywhere to go from here. Except, of course, that we haven't fully cleared out this area yet, and so we see that as its single and sole high-level area design innovation, Asia Archipelago is going to send us on the victory lap that we always wanted, but were too much of a coward to ask for. Because of course, you're going to get the chests. Like, you've paid somewhere between 10 and 15 actual real-life dollars, or local currency conversion equivalent, to play CrossCode A New Home. There is approximately a 0% chance that you have no interest in getting all the chests. So we invite you on a journey.
Sure is.
There was a point, I can't remember if it was at some point in the LP thread before this came out, or if it was like in a general thread in games or something, in which the prospect of the eventual DLC was being discussed, and I made a number of comments. One of the comments that I made was, technically I was talking about the final dungeon at the time, because I thought that would be the only thing that they added, but I observed that I hoped that there is an optional jumping path that just reconnects every single screen of the area. This was not a joke. I was not like doing that thing where somebody could post the one gif about Apollo gifting the gift of prophecy to comedians on the internet. This was me actually earnestly hoping that they would put a gigantic jumping path that would require you to circumnavigate an entire overworld area. And by God, we got it. This whole thing, it just made me so happy. The joke, of course, is that Emily complains about it pretty much the whole way around, and I'm pretty sure that while doing it, most players are also just going to be outwardly complaining. So they're going to be like, God damn it, are you kidding me? There's another jumping thing. You're kidding me, we had to get a switch first? Why isn't this like this? Why isn't it right? But the thing is, here in this video, this is a place of honesty. And the truth is, this is exactly what you wanted as well. This makes you happy. You are loving this shit. It's okay to admit it. It's okay. Yeah, I know, right? It's great.
Just absolutely at a loss for words.
It's exactly as I described. This is the victory lap that you always wanted, but were too afraid to ask for. And yeah, they do stop you a couple times and make you poke around. Pretty good reasons for that though. There are actually other chests along the way. I think about half of the chests in Asia Archipelago are on this route, and about half of them are on the ground. And also there's this thing. There's another one of these. We actually missed one in the temple. I forgot to get it. I edited it into the end. So yeah, technically you were right. We are here for some deep lore. Also, this being CrossCode, the secrets have secrets in them, so there's this whole offshoot of this path that leads to a totally different chest. Because you know what game we're playing, you know the level we operate at. Of course there's going to be secrets within the secrets. I can't remember if this is the second or third one of these checkpoints that we've reached. Kind of all blends together into one big glorious CrossCode secret blur. So walking on water is a bit of a strong way of putting it, I think. You were like paddling is what you were doing.
Well, you have to understand, it's not real water, so
right,
he can walk on it however he wants.
Emily. Search your feelings. You know which of those is the case. Of course, if you do remember the rough shape of this area, and you know which area is which, you can do a pretty good gauging of where we're at. We're back at the Isle of Legend already. Really, this isn't that long. It's just that somebody won't stop complaining along the way because somebody can't admit that they actually love this.
I mean, you don't have to call me out like that.
No, now we've gone full circle. This is literally the starting screen. This is literally the first area that I opened up the cursor and pointed out. See, there's the weapon shop. Just down there at the bottom. And here's our prize. Yep, it's another MacGuffin coin. I am contractually obliged to interject at this point and observe that this is an incorrect usage of the MacGuffin trope. A MacGuffin is specifically something, a token, that drives the plot. These things don't have anything to do with the plot. So it is incorrect to call them MacGuffins. Also, don't back out now because there is one last nested secret on this screen. And contrary to what Emily observes, it is very much worth it. It is a large cat. Yeah, there's a very slow movement speed and everything. And it would very much like some donuts. Also, you can pet the cat.
Well, I mean, that pretty much instantly makes this 10 out of 10.
Right? We don't make the rules. We merely apply them fairly and objectively. An objective game review has been commissioned and a verdict has been reached. Thank you for your understanding. Here's that extra bit of lore I promised. Right, well, now that we've collected all the coins, we might as well go and see what's going on up here. Oh right, we only collected 2. If you crack open the map at this point and take a look at the chest count, you will see that there is still 1 chest left uncollected in this area. And if you do not make the little connection, the little leap in your brain that says, oh, that chest will appear on this screen when I insert all 3 MacGuffin coins, you might, hypothetically, wind up wasting a lot of time.